Captain Kim Tae-ho walked slowly into the huge meeting room of the Galaxy Council. The room was bigger than 10 football fields put together. Bright lights came from the ceiling and made everything look like it was glowing. 47 different alien species sat in their special chairs around the room. Each alien looked different from the others. Some had green skin, some had blue skin, some had no skin at all. Tae-ho wore his best uniform, but he knew it did not matter. The aliens never looked at humans with respect. They saw humans as workers, nothing more. The translator device in his ear was making noise as aliens spoke in their own languages. Most of what they said was not nice things about humans. For 3 long years, Earth had been part of the Galaxy Council. The humans thought they would be treated as equals. They thought they would have a voice in important decisions. They were wrong. From the very first day, the aliens made it clear that humans were the youngest species in the galaxy. The aliens called humans babies who needed to be told what to do. Tae-ho remembered the first meeting 3 years ago. The Earth delegation was so excited, they brought gifts from Earth, beautiful art music, and food from different countries. The aliens took the gifts, but they did not say thank you. They just put the gifts away like they were not important. The worst part was the voting. Every time Earth tried to vote on something important, the other aliens would vote against them. It did not matter what the humans wanted. The aliens always won because there were more of them. Humans had only 1 vote, but the big alien empires had many votes. Ambassador Park. Somin sat next to Tae-ho. She was the smartest person Tae-ho knew and could speak 12 alien languages without a translator. She had studied alien culture for 20 years. But even she could not make the aliens listen to humans. The meeting today was about something terrible. The Vorthak Empire wanted to take humans from Earth. The Vorthaks were big aliens with thick skin and small eyes. They controlled many planets in the galaxy. They needed workers for their mining operations on dangerous worlds. The Vorthak speaker stood up. His voice was deep and scary. He said that Earth must give them 50 million humans. The humans would work in the mines for 20 years. Then they could go home if they were still alive. Many humans died in the alien mines because the work was too hard. Ambassador Park. So-min raised her hand to speak. The council speaker was an alien that looked like a giant bug with wings. The speaker saw Park So-min but pretended not to see her. Park So-min stood up and tried to talk, but her microphone was turned off. Tae-ho felt his heart beating fast. This was not the first time the aliens had ignored humans, but this time was different. They were talking about taking humans like they were things, not people. This was slavery, and everyone knew it. The Vorthak speaker continued talking. He said that humans were good workers because they were small and could fit in tight spaces. He said humans did not need much food or water, so they were cheap to keep alive. He talked about humans like they were machines. Other aliens in the room started to agree with the Vorthaks. The Crystalline Collective said they also needed human workers. The Aquatic Federation said humans were good at fixing things underwater. The Insectoid Hive said humans could work in places that were too hot for other species. Park So-min tried to speak again, but her microphone was still off. She waved her hands to get attention, but the council speaker ignored her completely. Some aliens in the room started to laugh. They thought it was funny that the human was trying to speak. Tae-ho stood up slowly. He was very angry, but he tried to stay calm. He walked to the center of the room where there was a special speaking area. The council speaker finally noticed him. The council speaker made a sound like an angry bee. He said that humans could not speak unless they were asked to speak. He said that humans were too young to understand important decisions. He said that older species knew what was best for everyone. Tae-ho looked around the room at all the aliens. Most of them were not even looking at him. They were talking to each other or playing with their communication devices. They did not care what humans thought. Then Tae-ho noticed something important. In the corner of the room, there were maintenance workers fixing a broken computer. The workers were human. 2 men and 1 woman were working on the machine. They had been working there for hours, but none of the aliens paid attention to them. Tae-ho realized that humans were everywhere in the galaxy, but they were invisible. Humans fixed the machines that kept the space stations running. Humans grew the food that fed the aliens. Humans cleaned the buildings and repaired the ships. Humans did all the work that the aliens did not want to do. Aliens thought they were better than humans, but they needed humans for everything. Without humans, the galaxy would stop working. But the aliens did not see this. They only saw humans as servants. The Vorthak speaker was still talking about taking humans to work in the mines. He said that humans should be happy to serve the greater good of the galaxy. He said that humans were lucky to be part of the galactic community, Park. So-min tried one more time to speak. She stood up and shouted, but her voice was not loud enough. The council speaker made a hand signal and security guards moved toward her. The guards were also human, but they worked for the council now. Tae-ho had seen enough. He took out his personal communication device and sent a message to Earth. The message was very short but very important. It said, "Operation Homecoming execute immediately." The message went to President Choi Hee-jin on Earth. She had been waiting for this message for months. She knew that one day the aliens would go too far. She was ready. Within minutes, the message was sent to every human in the galaxy. Every human on every space station, every planet, every ship got the same message. Come home now. Leave everything and come home. The aliens in the council room were still talking about how to divide up the human workers. They did not know that their entire civilization was about to collapse. They did not know that humans were already packing their bags. Tae-ho walked out of the meeting room. Park So-min followed him. They did not say goodbye to the aliens. They just left. The aliens were too busy arguing to notice that the humans were gone. As they walked through the space station, Tae-ho saw other humans leaving their jobs. Human doctors were walking out of hospitals. Human engineers were abandoning their machines. Human teachers were leaving their classrooms. The aliens would soon learn what happened when they pushed humans too far. They would learn that humans were not servants. They were the backbone of galactic civilization, and now that backbone was breaking. Dr. Lee Min-ho was working late in his laboratory on Kepler Station. The station was one of the biggest research centers in the galaxy. Scientists from 30 different species worked there together. Min-ho was the head of the medical research department. He had been working on 17 different projects that could save millions of alien lives. The communication device on his desk started beeping. Min-ho looked at the message and his face became serious. The message was from Earth, and it was very short. Operation Homecoming execute. Immediately, Min-ho had been waiting for this message for a long time. Min-ho stood up and looked around his laboratory. He had spent 5 years building this place. The walls were covered with charts and pictures of alien diseases. He had samples from hundreds of different planets. Everything he had worked for was here. But Min-ho did not hesitate. He walked to his computer and started deleting all his research files. The Zephyrian plague cure that had taken him 2 years to develop was gone. The mantoid genetic therapy that could save their entire species was deleted. The crystalline healing formula that could repair their broken bodies disappeared. Min-ho packed only his personal things in a small bag. He left all the alien equipment behind. He walked out of the laboratory and locked the door behind him. As he walked through the station, he saw other humans doing the same thing. Dr. Kim Soo-jin was leaving the physics department. She had been working on new, faster-than-light travel technology. The aliens thought they were so smart, but they could not figure out how to make ships go faster. Soo-jin had solved the problem, but now she was taking all her work with her. Engineer Park Jun-ho was shutting down the power systems. He knew exactly how to keep the station running. The aliens had never bothered to learn how their own technology worked. They just expected humans to fix everything for them. In the medical bay, Dr. Choi Yeon-soo was packing her equipment. She was the only doctor on the station who knew how to treat all the different alien species. The aliens had their own doctors, but they only knew how to treat their own kind. Yeon-soo had studied every alien biology and had saved thousands of lives. The aliens on the station started to notice that something was wrong. The human workers were leaving, but they were not saying why. Some aliens tried to stop the humans and ask questions, but the humans just kept walking. Commander Felkorth was a Zephyrian officer who worked with Min-ho every day. He saw Min-ho walking toward the transport bay with his bag. Velkorth called out to him and asked where he was going. Minho just said he was going home and kept walking. Velkorth followed Minho to the transport bay. Many humans were waiting for ships to take them away. Velkorth had never seen so many humans in one place before. He realized that humans were everywhere on the station, but he had never really noticed them. Human transport ship arrived and humans started getting on board. Velkorth tried to talk to the ship captain, but the captain ignored him. The ship was full of humans who had been working on the station. Engineers, doctors, scientists, teachers, cooks, cleaner security guards as the ship flew away. Velkorth realized that half the station workers were gone, but these were not just any workers. These were the people who knew how everything worked, the people who fixed problems, the people who kept everyone alive back on Earth. President Choi Hai-jin was in her office watching reports from all over the galaxy. Human colonies were being evacuated. Human workers were leaving their jobs. Human ships were returning to Earth. The biggest movement of people in galactic history was happening. The president had been planning this for months. She knew that one day the aliens would push too far. She had prepared secret ships and supplies to bring all humans home. She had also prepared a message. For the galaxy, President Choi stood in front of cameras and spoke to the entire galaxy. Her words were translated into every alien language. The message was broadcast on every communication channel in known space. She said that for too long humans had been treated like children in their own galaxy. She said that humans had given their knowledge, their work, and their friendship to aliens who saw them as servants. She said that humans would no longer accept this treatment. The president announced that all humans were returning to Earth immediately. She said that humans would no longer share their knowledge with species that did not respect them. She said that humans would no longer work for aliens who treated them like slaves. The message shocked the galaxy. Most aliens had never heard a human speak with such strength. The president sounded angry but also sad. She said that humans had wanted to be friends with aliens, but aliens had chosen to be masters instead. As the president spoke, humans were leaving jobs all over the galaxy. On the mining planet, Xerian human miners were walking out of the tunnels. The Vorthak overseers shouted at them, but the humans did not listen. They just kept walking. On the agricultural world, Verdania, human farmers were leaving their fields. The crops would rot without human care, but the humans did not care anymore. They had grown food for aliens who treated them like dirt. On the trade station, Nexus Prime, human mechanics were abandoning their repair shops. Alien ships would break down without human maintenance. But that was not their problem anymore. Engineer Yoon Jae-sung had been working on the Outer Rim trading fleet for 3 years. He maintained the hyperdrive systems for over 200 ships. The aliens' pilots thought they were so important, but they did not know how to fix their own engines. Jae-sung took all his technical manuals with him. When the aliens tried to stop him, he showed them a data pad. The pad contained every repair manual, every maintenance schedule, every technical specification for their ships. Without these documents, the aliens could not fix anything. The aliens laughed at first. They thought humans were having a temper tantrum. They thought humans would come back in a few days when they got hungry or lonely. The aliens did not understand that humans were serious. But as days passed, the aliens started to realize something terrible. The communication networks were failing. Human technicians had maintained all the relay stations. Without humans, the aliens could not talk to each other across long distances. Medical facilities were closing. Human doctors had been treating alien patients because they were the only ones who understood multiple species biology. Without human doctors, aliens were dying from diseases that should have been easy to cure. Even simple things were breaking down. Human janitors had been cleaning the buildings. Human cooks had been preparing the food. Human teachers had been educating alien children. Everything was falling apart. The Galaxy Council called emergency meetings, but their own meeting rooms were not working properly. The translation systems needed human programmers. The artificial gravity needed human engineers. Even the lights needed human electricians. The proud galactic civilization was starting to crumble, and they finally realized that humans had been holding everything together. The species that called humans primitive could not survive without human Help the Galaxy was learning a hard lesson about what happened when you treated your friends like enemies. But it might be too late to fix the damage that had been done. Commander Nayunji stood on the bridge of her human warship, watching alien vessels drift through space like broken toys. 3 weeks had passed since all humans left their jobs in the galaxy. The alien ships were moving very slowly because their engines were failing without human maintenance. Yunji had been a military officer for 15 years. She had worked with many alien species and had always been treated badly. The aliens called her ships small and weak. They said human weapons were primitive. They laughed at human military tactics. But now those same aliens were sending distress signals to her ship. Their proud warships could not even fly properly without human engineers. The Vorthak battle cruiser that had threatened Earth was now asking for help because its life support systems were broken. The irony was not lost on Unji. The species that had called humans babies were now crying for help like real babies. The aliens who said humans were too stupid to understand. Technology could not fix their own machines. Back on the Galaxy Council station, chaos was everywhere. Council Speaker Veltar was trying to hold an emergency meeting, but nothing was working properly. The holographic display kept flickering because human technicians were not there to fix it. The translation system was making strange noises instead of translating languages. The Zephyrian representative Kolvash was dying from the plague that his own species had created. Zephyrians were very proud of their advanced medicine, but they could not cure their own disease. Only Dr. Lee Minho had found the cure, but he was back on Earth now. The medicine that could save Kolvash was gone. Senator Trix Ona from the Mantoid Collective was also in trouble. Her species was facing genetic collapse because their DNA was breaking down. The Mantoids had lived for thousands of years, but they were slowly dying out. Only human genetic therapy could save them. But the humans, who knew how to fix Mantoid genes, had left. The crystalline beings were literally falling apart. Their crystal bodies were cracking and breaking. The human doctors had developed a special treatment that could repair crystal damage, but that knowledge was now on Earth. The crystallines, who had always looked down on soft, fleshy humans, now needed those same humans to survive. The worst part was that even simple things were not working. The food replicators were broken because human engineers had designed them. The air recycling systems were failing because human technicians maintained them. Even the doors were not opening properly because the computer systems needed human programming. Veltar finally realized the horrible truth. Humans had not just been workers, they had been the foundation of galactic civilization. While aliens focused on politics and power, humans had been quietly making everything work. Humans had learned every alien technology and had improved it. The speaker remembered how aliens used to joke about human curiosity. They said humans asked too many questions and wanted to learn everything. Aliens thought this was a weakness, because each alien species only focused on their own specialty. But human curiosity had made them masters of all alien knowledge. Engineer Park Dongmin had worked on the council station for 2 years. He had asked so many questions that other aliens got annoyed with him. But Park had learned how every system worked. He had memorized every technical manual. He had improved systems that aliens thought were perfect. Now that Park was gone, the station was falling apart. Systems that had worked for decades were suddenly broken. Backup systems that had never failed were not working. Emergency procedures that should have been automatic were not happening. Dr. Yun Hana had been the head of the Galactic Medical Emergency Response Team. She was a human, but she knew more about alien medicine than most alien doctors. She had saved lives from 30 different species. She had created new treatments that combined human and alien medical knowledge. When the Aquatic Federation had a disease outbreak, Hana had solved it in 1 day. When the insectoid hive had poisoning problems, Hana had created an antidote. When the Silicon Collective had system failures, Hana had found the biological cause, but now Hana was gone. The medical center that served the entire galaxy was empty. Alien doctors were trying to treat patients, but they only knew their own species, biology. A Zephyrian doctor could not help a Mantoid patient. An aquatic doctor could not treat a crystalline being. Only humans had bothered to learn about all the different alien species. Only humans had studied every type of biology, chemistry, and Physics. The aliens had been so proud of their specialization that they had forgotten how to work together. The communication networks were the worst problem of all. Humans had maintained all the relay stations that allowed aliens to talk across the galaxy. Without these stations, aliens on different planets could not communicate. The galaxy was becoming isolated and alone. Captain Lee Sung-ho had been in charge of the Deep Space Communication Array. He had spent 3 years traveling to remote relay stations to fix problems and upgrade systems. The aliens thought this job was boring and unimportant, so they gave it to a human. Now the relay stations were going offline one by one. The galaxy that had been connected for thousands of years was breaking apart. Alien species that had worked together were losing contact. Trade agreements could not be made. Military alliances were falling apart. The Outer Rim colonies were the first to go dark. These planets depended on the communication network to request supplies and report problems. Without communication, the colonies were cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Some colonies had only human technicians, so when the humans left, the colonies became ghost towns. The inner core worlds were also having problems. The planets that were supposed to be the most advanced in the galaxy could not function without human support. The capital world of the Vorthak Empire had no power because human engineers maintained the power plants. Even the Galaxy Council itself was powerless. The building where aliens had made decisions for thousands of years was now dark and cold. The elevator systems were broken. The computer networks were down. The security systems were offline. Veltar sat in his office trying to understand how this had happened. The Galaxy Council had ruled over hundreds of species for millennia. They had technology that could destroy planets and create new stars. They had knowledge that spanned the universe, but they could not fix a broken door without human help. They could not cook food without human chefs. They could not clean their buildings without human janitors. They could not teach their children without human teachers. The proud galactic civilization that had dismissed humans as primitive was learning that they were the primitive ones. Aliens had become so specialized and arrogant that they had forgotten how to do basic tasks. They had relied on humans for everything while pretending that humans were worthless. Now the galaxy was paying the price for their arrogance. The universe that had been held together by human knowledge and human work was falling apart, and the humans who could fix everything were safely back on Earth watching their former masters beg for help. Ambassador Park So-min sat in her office on Earth reading hundreds of messages that arrived every day. The aliens who had ignored her for 3 years were now begging for her attention. Every alien species in the galaxy was sending desperate pleas to Earth asking for human help. The first message came from the Aquatic Federation. Their homeworld oceans were dying because the underwater cities needed human marine biologists to keep the water clean. The Aquatics had always been proud of their underwater civilization, but they did not know how to maintain it without human scientists. The Silicon Collective sent their entire technology database to Earth as a gift. They offered to share every secret they had if just one human computer specialist would come back to fix their failing systems. The beings made of living metal were shutting down one by one because their computer networks were crashing. The warrior clans had never asked anyone for help in their entire history. They were the strongest fighters in the galaxy, and they settled all problems with battles. But now they were sending messages to Earth asking for human military advisors. Their weapons were breaking, and they did not know how to repair them. The Crystalline Confederation offered Earth 3 entire star systems if human doctors would return to treat their cracking bodies. The crystal beings who had lived for thousands of years were dying in weeks because their bodies were falling apart without human medical care. Park So-min showed all these messages to President Choi Hee-jin. The president read each message carefully, but her expression did not change. She had expected this. The aliens were finally learning what humans were worth, but it might be too late. Captain Shin Dong-wook was patrolling the edge of human space in his starship. He reported that alien fleets were gathering near Earth, but they were not coming to attack. They were coming to negotiate. Species that had been enemies for centuries were working together because they all needed the same thing: human help. The Vorthak Empire and the Zephyrian Republic had been at war for 50 years, but now their ships were flying side by side toward Earth. The Mantoid Collective and the Insectoid Hive had hated each other since ancient times, but they were sending a joint diplomatic mission. Even the mysterious Shadow Fleet had come out of hiding. The Shadow aliens never talked to anyone, and most species thought they were just legends. But they sent a message to Earth saying they would reveal all their secrets if humans would help them fix their cloaking technology. The Galaxy Council held emergency sessions every day, but the meetings were chaos without human translators. The translation systems were so broken that aliens could barely understand each other. Some species were accidentally declaring war when they meant to ask for peace counsel. Speaker Veltar tried to contact Earth directly, but the human communication networks were not accepting calls from alien sources. Earth had created a complete communication blockade. The only messages getting through were the desperate pleas for help that humans were collecting as evidence. The aliens offered Earth everything they could think of: full voting rights in the Galaxy Council, with equal representation for humans' territorial expansion, that would give Earth control over entire sectors of space technology exchanges that would make Earth the most advanced planet in the galaxy. The Vorthak Empire offered to make humans their equal partners instead of workers. The same aliens who had demanded 50 million human slaves were now asking to be human allies. The Zephyrians offered to share their advanced medicine. The Mantoids offered their genetic enhancement technology. But President Choi had learned from humanity's mistakes. The first time Earth joined the galactic community, humans had been grateful for any acceptance. Now Earth knew its true value. The president sent the same message to every alien species: make us your equals or leave us alone. Dr. Kwon Soo-jin was leading the development of Earth's new defensive technologies, using all the knowledge that humans had gathered from working with alien systems she was creating. Ships and weapons that were better than anything in the galaxy. Soo-jin had worked as a maintenance engineer on alien warships for 4 years. The aliens thought she was just fixing their machines, but she was actually studying them and learning how to build better ones. Now she was designing human ships that could outfight any alien vessel. The new human ships used hybrid technology that combined the best features from every alien species: Vorthak armor with Zephyrian speed, Mantoid weapons with crystalline shields, aquatic stealth with insectoid maneuverability. No single alien species could match these combinations. Engineer Kim Min-seo was developing new faster-than-light engines that were twice as fast as anything aliens had. The aliens had always said their technology was the best in the universe, but humans had found ways to improve everything they touched. Dr. Lee Jae-won was creating new medical treatments using knowledge from 30 different alien species. The aliens had specialized medicine that only worked on their own kind, but Lee was developing universal treatments that could heal any species, including humans. The defensive systems around Earth were becoming stronger every day. Humans were building space stations and weapon platforms using alien technology that the aliens themselves did not fully understand. Earth was becoming the most fortified planet in the galaxy. Captain Yu Seong-ho was training the new Earth Defense Force using military tactics learned from every alien species. The warrior clans had taught humans about ground combat. The Shadow Fleet had taught stealth. The Vorthak had taught space warfare. Now humans were combining all these techniques into new fighting methods that no alien species had ever seen. Human soldiers were learning to fight like warriors but think like shadows. They could be as tough as Vorthaks, but as clever as Zephyrians. The aliens watching from their broken ships could see the construction happening. Around Earth, new cities were being built on the moon, and Mars human colonies were expanding throughout the solar system. Earth was becoming the center of a new human empire, but this empire was different from the old alien empires. It was built on cooperation and respect instead of domination and fear. Humans from every part of Earth were working together. Korean engineers worked with African doctors. European scientists worked with American soldiers. The galaxy had taught humans an important lesson about unity. The aliens had stayed divided by species and culture, but humans were learning to combine their differences into strengths. Just like human technology was better because it combined alien knowledge, human society was stronger because it combined human diversity. The alien fleets kept arriving at the edge of human space, but they were not allowed to enter. Representatives from every species were asking for meetings, but Earth was making them wait. The species that had made humans wait for 3 years were now learning what it felt like. President Choi announced that Earth would consider negotiations, but only under human terms. The Galaxy Council would have to be completely reorganized with humans as equal partners, not junior members. The old system of alien superiority was over forever. The aliens faced a simple choice. They could accept humans as true equals and try to rebuild their civilization together. Or they could keep their pride and watch everything they had built crumble into dust. Pride was a luxury that the galaxy could no longer afford. 1 year later, Captain Kim Tae-ho walked into the Galaxy Council chamber, but everything was different now. The room looked the same with its huge size and bright lights, but the feeling was completely changed. The aliens who had once laughed at humans now stood up when he entered. Tae-ho was no longer just a human representative. He was now the co-director of the Galactic Alliance. The old Galaxy Council had been dissolved and replaced with a new government based on equality and respect. Every species had equal votes regardless of how old or powerful they were. The new Galactic Charter had been written mostly by human lawyers who understood fairness and justice. The document guaranteed equal representation for all species. It protected the rights of smaller civilizations. It made sure that no species could be treated as servants or slaves. Ambassador Park So-min sat at the main table as the Secretary of Interspecies Relations. She was no longer ignored or silenced. She was one of the most powerful people in the galaxy. The aliens who had once muted her microphone now asked for her advice on important decisions. The translator systems were working perfectly again because human technicians had designed new ones that were better than the old systems. The new translators could handle multiple languages at once and they never broke down. Every species could communicate clearly with every other species. Dr. Lee Min-ho had returned to his research, but now he was the director of Galactic Medical Advancement. He had complete authority over all medical projects in the galaxy. His research teams included the best doctors from every species working together as equals. The Zephyrian plague had been cured using the medicine that Min-ho had developed. The mantoid genetic collapse had been stopped using human genetic therapy. The crystalline body deterioration had been reversed, using treatments that combined human and alien knowledge. Min-ho had built medical research centers on dozens of worlds, but these were partnerships, not colonial outposts. Human doctors worked alongside alien doctors, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. The old system where humans did all the work while aliens took credit was gone forever. Engineer Yoon Jae-sung was now the Chief Technology Officer for the entire galaxy. He had designed a new generation of hyperdrive systems that were faster and safer than anything that had existed before. The technology was shared freely with all species, but humans received proper credit and fair payment. The new hyperdrives allowed ships to travel across the galaxy in days instead of weeks. Trade between species increased dramatically because transportation was faster and cheaper. The galaxy was more connected than it had ever been before. The Outer Rim colonies that had gone dark during the human withdrawal were now thriving again, but they were no longer isolated outposts. They were full partners in the galactic community, with their own representatives in the government. Engineer Park Dong-min had returned to his job, maintaining the communication networks, but now he had a team of engineers from every species working with him. The relay stations were stronger and more reliable than ever. The galaxy would never lose communication again. Dr. Yoon Ha-na was leading the new Galactic Emergency Medical Response Team. The team included doctors from every species who had learned to work together during medical crises. No alien would ever die from a disease that another species knew how to cure. The food replicators were working better than ever because human engineers had improved the designs. The air recycling systems were more efficient because human technicians had upgraded them. Even simple things like doors and lights worked better because humans had fixed the problems that aliens had ignored. Captain Na Yoonji was now the admiral of the Galactic Defense Force. The new military included soldiers from every species working together using the best tactics and technology from all cultures. The galaxy was safer than it had ever been because the military was united instead of divided. The old system where each species had its own separate military was gone. The new defense force combined warrior clan strength with shadow fleet, stealth with Vorthak toughness with human creativity. No enemy could stand against such a united force. The Vorthak Empire had completely changed their society. They had abolished slavery and made all their workers equal partners. The former slave masters were now learning how to treat people with respect and dignity. The mines that had once been death traps were now safe workplaces with fair wages. The Shadow Fleet had revealed their secrets and were teaching stealth technology to other species. The mysterious aliens who had hidden for thousands of years were now active members of the galactic community. Their knowledge was helping to explore unknown regions of space. The Silicon Collective had recovered from their computer crashes and were now working with human programmers to create better artificial intelligence systems. The metal beings and the flesh beings were learning from each other and creating amazing new technologies. The Aquatic Federation had saved their dying oceans with help from human marine biologists. The underwater cities were now more beautiful than ever, and they welcomed visitors from dry land species for the first time in their history. President Choi Hye-jin had become the first human to serve as the rotating president of the Galactic Alliance. Every species would take turns leading the government, but humans had earned the honor of being first the president. Who had once been ignored by aliens was now respected throughout the galaxy. The Earth Defense Force had become the most advanced military in the galaxy, but it was not used for conquest. It was used to protect all species from external threats and to help with natural disasters. The human ships that aliens had once mocked were now the protectors of galactic peace. Human innovation centers had been established on hundreds of worlds, but they were true partnerships where humans and aliens worked together as equals. Human creativity combined with alien knowledge was producing discoveries that neither could achieve alone. The galaxy was no longer in panic. It was prospering in ways that had never been possible before. The old system of competition and domination had been replaced with cooperation and mutual respect. Trade was booming, science was advancing, art and culture were flourishing, but everyone understood the lesson that had been learned. Humans were not just another species in the galaxy. They were the keystone that held everything together. Without humans, the entire structure of galactic civilization would collapse. The aliens had learned this lesson the hard way. When they pushed humans away, everything had fallen apart. When they welcomed humans back as equals, everything had become better than before. The galaxy was stronger because humans were part of it. Captain Kim Tae-ho looked around the council chamber at all the different species working together. He remembered the day 1 year ago when aliens had laughed at humans and treated them like servants. Now those same aliens were asking humans for advice and thanking them for their help. Earth had proven its worth not through conquest or threats but by showing what the galaxy lost when humans were pushed away. Sometimes the greatest power was not in fighting, but in walking away and letting others realize how much they needed. The Galaxy Council still existed, but now it was truly galactic. It included every species as equal partners with humans, not as servants but as the partners they had always deserved to be. The universe had learned that diversity and cooperation were stronger than uniformity and domination. The new galactic civilization was built on the human values of equality, justice, and cooperation, but it was enriched by the knowledge and culture of every species. The galaxy was finally living up to its potential as a community of different peoples working together toward common goals.